Hey guys, Triple B here. We just got heaps of reveals coming out of Terastral Festival, which is going to be the new Eeveelution set for the Pokemon TCG, where every single one of Eevee's evolutions is going to get an EX card. And they're not even leaving Eevee out. It's getting its own EX too, which is pretty exciting. We don't always see that happen. It's normally like, oh, it's going to evolve. Those would be the good things. But nah, it's getting one too. So similar to like Evolving Skies, but now with EXs instead of the, well, the VMAXs. First one we're going to get to see is Leafeon EX. They are all going to be Terra Pokemon, so they're not going to be taking any damage when they're on the bench. Always good feature to have in these cards. The attack on here though, Leaf Typhoon. Does a multiplier of 60 for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So if they've got, what, 6 energy on their board, you're doing 360 for 2? It's not too bad. Your grass types are going to hit weakness into Charizard. You'll hit weakness into Roaring Moon. Yeah, kind of relevant. Kind of the idea with these, though, I think is going to be building like box decks to a degree. So kind of having all the different Eeveelutions to cover weaknesses for various matchups. I don't think you're going to lean too hard into just like this attack, because obviously your opponents could play around it. They just go, oh, if you do more damage if I have energy in play, I'll just have just enough energy in play to knock you out, and you're in a weird spot. The second attack on here though, not as limited. You're going to do 230 damage flat and heal 100 damage from each of your benched Pokemon. So you can just be like, yeah, tanking hits with guys, moving them to the bench, attack with Leafeon, maybe heal a bit of that off of them, or potentially even just go for like one of those attacks where you hit your own bench a little bit and then Leafeon can heal that off potentially. Be an interesting concept to play around with. Honestly, at first glance, so not super impressed with this card, hoping that the rest of the Eeveelutions are a little bit stronger than him. Seeing Flareon EX next, also a Terra Pokemon. The attack on here, Burning Charge, does 130 base damage. Then you search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's sort of like RCSV Star, where you're accelerating some energy out onto your board without the limitation of it needing to go to a specific type or a specific like rarity of Pokemon. Like it's not like, oh, you can only accelerate energy to EXs or fire Pokemon. It's just like, nah, charge anything up. So that's kind of cool. The damage output on it isn't amazing, but like you're half hitting into basics and stage 1s. You're going to be 3-shotting into stage 2s though, so that's less than ideal. Second attack on here though, 280 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So you could use the first attack, set up energy for a backup attacker, you survive a turn, attach 1 more energy, do 280. Across the 2 attacks, that's what, 410 you're doing? So you are taking out a stage 2 across 2 attacks while setting up a backup guy. Not the worst, but not the greatest. The fact that it can't attack 2 turns in a row, you can obviously just pivot it out of the active, right? Like use a switch card, go into a free retreater, pivot that out, attack again. So like you've got options. 280 also, you're one-shotting into V-stars, and with a maximum belt you can one-shot a stage 2 EX, so you don't even need to worry about using the first attack. But yeah, interesting one. Vaporeon seeing here, also a Terra. I'm just going to stop saying that. Every single one of them is. The attack on here though, Heavy Squall, does 60 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX. You don't apply weakness or resistance for this damage though, so even if you're hitting the one in the active and it's like, oh, it's weak to waters, nah, it's not. It's just flat 60. It's not bad. Obviously, it is another one of those things. If your opponents can just play around it, and you're not going to be hitting Terra Pokemon, right? So it's not like you can go into Charizard EX and be like, oh, the Charizard or Charmander you're running only has 60 HP. Well, I'm going to hit your bench Charizards for 60 and then use Deevolution TM. Well, they're Terra Pokemon, so they're not taking that 60. You'd be hitting like their Pidgeot, I guess. Yeah, not really impressed with this one. Second attack on here though, also doing 280, and this can't attack during your next turn. So a similar attack to Flareon. I wonder if like Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon are all going to have that attack. I feel like they usually try and have some sort of arching theme. And also the attack, the energy on there is what? Fire, Water, Lightning? Flareon's is Fire, Water, Lightning? Okay, I feel like Jolteon's going to have that same second attack for the same attack cost. Glaceon, Frost Bullet, 110 damage, then do 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So not as limited with the bench damage output as Vaporeon. It can hit anything, but obviously Vaporeon would hit everything. So it's a trade-off. Still not going to hit bench Terra Pokemon though. And the second attack is knock out your opponent's Pokemon that has exactly 6 damage counters on it. So you could play around like with some interesting damage manipulation. Theoretically, like a Dusclops, put 5 on them, hit them with like a Halucha, or like Monkey Dory can move a bit of damage onto them, or just use 2 Monkey Dories, move 60 damage off one of your guys onto one of their guys, and then knock it out with this. So yeah, Glaceon, definitely an interesting one. I feel like there'll be some rogue decks that can come out of this. Will they be competitively viable? Probably not. but like fun concept, very fun concept. Jolteon EX, I just gotta check the second attack. 280 damage, can't attack on the next turn. Fire, water, color, or fire, water, lightning. God, called it. The first attack on here though, Flash Spear, 60 damage, and you may discard 2 basic energy from your bench Pokemon. Does 90 more damage for each card discarded this way. So you're capped at what? 150, 240. You could be one-shotting like a Raging Bolt without a Bravery Charm on a stage 1 for 2 energy. Well, effectively 4 energy because you have to discard stuff off your bench. Yeah, it's that. These are interesting cards, but I feel like they're collection fodder, I'll be honest. I don't see any of these being competitively viable. Like the second attack on the Vaporeon, Flareon, Jolteon, the 280, 330 with max belt. I don't hate that. That's cool, especially because you do evolve up from Eevee, so you could be using like Glass Trumpet onto the Eevee. I believe the Eevee EX is a Terra Pokemon as well, so it can just like Glass Trumpet onto itself. We'll confirm that in a little bit as we scroll through this. But effectively just like Glass Trumpet to those twice, attach for turn, evolve up into this, start using the second attack. There's a concept there. But yeah, the first attacks are like not great. Espeon EX, Psych Out for Psychic Double Colorless, 160 damage. Discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. So a little bit of disruption. I feel like we've seen things like Arbok EX that they ditch 2 and they do similar damage, and it's a dark Pokemon, so you can Dark Patch to it, you can Janine to it. You've got ways to get it charged up. This, yeah, like you can go with the Glass Trumpet route, but you're only ditching 1 card. Interesting concept, I guess pseudo aggro control concept there. Amethyst devolves each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon by shuffling the highest stage evolution from it into your opponent's deck. That I'm kind of for, actually. So it's like Eeveelution TM, except they can't just go, oh, well, I'll just evolve up next turn. It's like, no, you got to find those from your deck again. It's like if they have a very small hand, let's say even if they had a Bibarel, right? If like your opponent's sitting there and it's like, oh, you devolve a Bibarel, it goes back into their hand. They evolve back into it, they refresh their hand. Now if they have a Bibarel, if you do this, it's like, well, that's in your deck. So it's not like, oh, I have a 1-card hand from like drawing for turn. Oh, but I have Bibarel. It's like, you don't. It's gone in your deck. I guess they could top deck into it maybe, but I do like that. That is a cool attack. The fact that it's on a stage 1 for 3 different energy types though and doesn't do any damage, I don't like that as much, but it is an interesting concept for an attack. Sylveon EX has Magical Charm, does 160 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks do 100 less damage. Okay, so they can switch around that to kind of get their damage output back. Doing 160, you're just shy of 2-shotting into stage 2 EXs. Like you would be 2-shotting into Dragapult, not 2-shotting into Zard. I don't hate this card though. Like all the ones we've seen, like that's got some viability to it. The second attack, Angelites, choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. They shuffle those Pokemon and all attached cards into their deck. If one of your Pokemon used Angelite during your last turn, this attack can't be used. I kind of like Sylveon. That's cool, actually. So like into a matchup like Zard or Dragapult, and it's like, oh, well, they have 2 of those set up. It's like, cool. Use Boss, bring up a Rotom V into the active, bounce their 2 attackers back into their deck. They need to find all of those pieces again. They've likely used rare candies or manually evolved up, and it's like, well, it's going to take you 2-3 turns to get those guys reestablished and get energy back onto them. So yeah, Sylveon I don't hate. I'm kind of down for that. That's cool. Umbreon EX, Moon Mirage, 160 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. It's not bad. Like Dark Patch DT, you can get that attack charged up in one go. Half hits into them, makes them coin flip or evolve through it or switch out to get around the confusion. And then Onyx, discard all energy from this Pokemon, draw 1 prize card. I don't know. I feel like you're just knock something out and take 2 prizes instead. You're breaking your opponent's board state and you're getting more prizes. Cool concept for an attack. 3 energy of different types. To use it, not great. I don't know. I like the concept, but I feel like it's too expensive for what it is. Like, I feel like put it on a stage 2, make it 2 energy, call it a day. Because what? It's like you try and get this charged up 6 turns in a row and just steal a prize each turn. Just knock 3 things out that give up 2 prizes instead. And Eevee EX, Also, it is a Terra Pokemon. Okay, cool. So this would be turning Glass Trumpet on for itself. It can literally just be on the bench, Glass Trumpet, attach for turn. And then its ability makes it so that you can evolve it into any Pokemon that Eevee would evolve into. So it's effectively giving you an out to have 8 Eevees in your deck for a like Eeveelution deck. That's pretty cool. I do like that. The attack on here, 200 damage for Fire, Water, Lightning. Yeah, it's fine. I feel like you're not going to often be attacking with it, but if you're in a pinch, go for it. And we're also seeing some new trainer cards. So Amorous, draw 4 cards at the end of your turn. If you have 5 or more cards in your hand, discard your hand. Okay, so it's like a, hey, if you draw into stuff that you're able to use, you're fine. But if you went a little too aggressive and you're just like sitting there with a bunch of stuff, it's like, well, now you have nothing. Next turn, you get nothing. You got greedy. So I know there's someone that always watches my videos and comments like, oh, this card could be good with Tinkaton. It could be for one big attack. And then you're punishing yourself really bad. For every other deck, though, I like maybe like as a one-off for decks, it's not the worst, but I don't know. Like it's a slightly better draw 3 card. Draw 4, but you get punished. And like draw 3 cards don't really see play unless they have a secondary effect, like Worker, discarding a stadium, or Avery, messing up a bench. This, interesting for like pre-release format. Standard, I don't really see it seeing play. Budget build battles, yeah. We'll probably see play there. And then Max Rod, a new A-Spec card. You can't have more than one A-Spec in your deck. They'll all say that. But you get to choose up to 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile and put them into your hand. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So like Super Odd is shuffle 3 back into your deck. This is like, no, get 2 more and right back into your hand. I'm kind of for that, honestly. Like Goldango EX, I feel like would like this. It's like, hey, get 5 energy back, do 250 guaranteed off this, and then like 1 energy retrieval. Chin Pao theoretically could use this. I'm trying to think of what else. Off the top of my head, it's kind of just those 2. And do they want to run this over a different A-Spec like Prime Catcher that's just inherent, hey, this is a good Gust card? I don't know, but it's got some viability to it. Like I'm not opposed to that. And then it does look like we're getting just like base Eeveelutions as well. I don't know if we've gotten translations for these yet. And they're not on here just yet. And then, yeah, the shout out to Toyn L for the translations. They post over on Twitter. Look them up. They do good stuff. And of course, we are using PokeBeach for all of these. So quality site. If you guys like going direct to the source, go by PokeBeach. If you like hearing just some Canadian, just like, I don't know, yapping about the cards, well, then you're in the right spot. So you just hang out here. And you know what? YouTube's even got another video right here that they think you'll like. So till next time, stay golden, you Goombas.